Have you ever wondered who produces the oxygen we breathe at every moment? How the delicate temperature balance on Earth is maintained? How the balance of the gases on Earth remains fixed without changing? Or how you obtain the solar energy essential to life? Did you know that it is plants that work to provide all these things for you without ever making a mistake? Plants, which occupy such an important place in human life, and of which there are more than 500,000 varieties, are a great treasure Allah has provided for our benefit. Plants are the source of the fresh air we breathe, the foods we need to survive, and the energy we consume. They are also the source of stunning vistas, impressive scents, and eye-catching colors. Plants possess photosynthesis systems that convert light into nutrients. These mechanisms constantly produce energy and oxygen that purify the air and maintain ecological balances. In addition, these mechanisms produce such aesthetic properties as taste, scent, and color. Together with these features, plants are special living things that reveal the infinite knowledge and artistry of Allah, our Creator, and exhibit His affection and compassion for human beings. Using the intelligence and the understanding bestowed on us by Allah, all honest people can see the miracle He displays before our eyes. We therefore need to look at them through the eyes of reason and of wisdom. Allah reveals the proofs of creation in plants in a verse. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. It is He who sends down water from the sky, from which we bring forth growth of every kind. And from that we bring forth the green shoots, and from them we bring forth close-packed seeds. And from the spades of the date palm that clusters hanging down, and gardens of grapes and olives and pomegranates, both similar and dissimilar. Look at their fruits as they bear fruit and ripen. There are a sign in that for people who believe. The energy that the sun sends to the earth in one day is nearly 10,000 times greater than the daily level of energy required by all of mankind. Developed countries spend large sums of money researching methods on how to store this free energy from the sun. Researchers discovered an astonishing fact. It was realized that plants possess a perfect system for storing solar energy. This system in plants is known as photosynthesis. Plants carry out photosynthesis through the solar cells in their structures. These cells convert solar energy into chemical energy, thus producing carbohydrates, the basic food source of all life. Carbohydrates are fundamental sources of food that either directly or indirectly meets the energy requirements of all living things. There is no need to eat plants to obtain this energy. Since animals eat plants, human beings can obtain that same energy through consuming animal products. For example, sheep eat grass and thus take the energy-charged molecules in grass into their own bodies. Therefore, the energy contained in these molecules is transferred into animal tissue. Human beings then take this energy, which reaches plants from the sun, and from them then enters animals, and use it in their own bodies. As we have seen, by whatever means they obtain it, All living things use the energy provided by solar energy by way of photosynthesis. Through photosynthesis, plants supply us not just with nutrients, but also with a large part of the substances we use for fuel in our daily lives. Fuels such as petrol, coal, and natural gas, for instance, are sources of energy in which solar energy is stored through photosynthesis. The same applies to the wood we burn as kindling. Just in terms of this substance, it is clear how photosynthesis is vitally important. Understanding photosynthesis and the mechanisms involved in it is also very important for scientists. If this process can be fully understood, it will be possible to increase food production, make the most efficient use of nature, extract the maximum benefit from solar energy, develop new drugs, and design faster and smaller machines that run on solar energy. However, we must immediately make it clear that we still do not know enough about photosynthesis to be able to produce systems that store energy by replicating this process. And yet, photosynthesis is a very simple matter for a leaf with no mind or consciousness. Human beings, with their intelligence, training, and advanced technology, are unable to replicate this system. It is astonishing that hundreds of trillions of leaves have all been carrying out photosynthesis for billions of years. Plants have carried out this process uninterruptedly since the day they were first created. This means that everywhere with any vegetation has a factory that uses solar energy to produce sugar from carbon dioxide and water. Unknown to you, the tomatoes you eat, the parsley in your salad, and the ivy growing out on the veranda are all engaged in constant production. This is the result of omniscient Allah's love for human beings. Allah created plants in a form so as to make them serve humanity and all living beings. Leaves have been implementing this flawless system for millions of years that we, with all our modern technology, are still unable to fully understand. In one verse of the Quran, Allah tells us that it is impossible for human beings to create even a single tree from nothing. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. He who created the heavens and the earth and sends down water for you from the sky by which we make luxuriant gardens grow. You can never make their trees grow. Allah has created the whole universe with infinite knowledge and artistry. All the systems that combine to give rise to life on the earth work together in complete harmony as a result of this matchless creation. Every system and structure, from the stars in the space to electrons revolving in a single atom, is either dependent on or complementary to one another. Photosynthesis occupies a very important place in this sublime creation. Using soil, water, air, and the sun, unconscious plant cells take specific quantities of minerals and water from the soil and manufacture food for human beings. With the energy they obtain from sunlight, they break these components down and recombine them in such a way as to produce nutrients. There is intelligence, consciousness, and planning in every single phase of this process summarized here in the very briefest terms. This amazing system in plants is clearly a source of life specially created for the benefit of living things. As we have seen, there is perfect harmony between green plants on Earth and solar energy. This harmony gives rise to a food source essential to the survival of all living things, and therefore also to the survival of human beings. Our attention is drawn to this subject in another verse from the Quran. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. Say, who provides for you from the heavens and earth? Say, Allah. It is certain that one or the other of us, either we or you, is following guidance or else clearly astray. When we examine leaves under powerful microscopes, the creative artistry of Allah appears before us in all its glory. The structures inside a single leaf can be compared to the tools we use in our daily lives. When we magnify the details of the leaf still further, we encounter an automated food factory with pipes in a constant state of activity, chambers constructed for particular processes, and workers running about non-stop. A pipeline that spreads over the whole plant, like a net, allows raw materials to reach the production units and allows the product emerging from the production units to reach the plant tissues. As this pipeline raises the water obtained by the plant, it also sends sap produced in the leaves to internal regions for the nourishment of the whole tree. These channels not only carry vitally important fluids, but also serve as a skeleton for the tree and the leaf. This is a marvel of creation, since this cannot even be seen in structures erected by human beings, who use load-bearing elements such as columns, beams, and the like, and are then built separately from the building's water facilities. Plants contain a creation marvel in which both needs are met together. Every plant leaf is a marvel of creation, created with infinite knowledge and artistry. If any leaf, just a few millimeters thick, were to be enlarged to the size of a factory, so that we could wander around inside it, we would be amazed at what we saw. Let us take a small parsley leaf as an example. We would see a highly developed pipeline extending to every part, and more than 20 facilities that produce and store chemical substances. We would also encounter energy plants that ceaselessly convert solar energy into sugar, solar panels that initiate this process, and ventilation centers that we come across at every point. As well as all of this, we would see a very powerful security and communications system, and a giant chemical facility, the roles of many parts of which are still a mystery even to scientists. This system, which can immediately be seen to be fully equipped, the workers in it, and all the materials and products used by it are the work of a very superior mind and knowledge. Yet plants have no central nervous systems and no brain to control it. Therefore, each part of the plant develops independently of the others, despite which all the components and tissues exhibit an unbelievable harmony and cooperation. We still do not fully understand how the cells inside the plants communicate, and how they give rise to different tissues. The way that the chain of commands that emerges as these different structures are formed also remains a mystery. Both in terms of their general structure and also when examined microbiologically, leaves exhibit very detailed and complex systems specially created to ensure maximum energy production. In order to produce energy, the plant has to obtain heat and carbon dioxide from the outside world. All the structures in leaves have been arranged in such a way as to obtain these two elements without difficulty. Leaves have broad external surfaces. This enables the exchange of gases needed for photosynthesis to take place with ease. The leaf's flat shape means that all its cells are close to the surface. This in turn means that the exchange of gases is facilitated and the solar rays can reach all the cells engaged in photosynthesis. If instead of a flat and thin structure, leaves came in any other geometrical shape or else had a meaningless and haphazard form, then photosynthesis could only take place in those regions in direct contact with the sun. This would mean that plants would be unable to produce sufficient energy and oxygen. One of the major consequences of this would be a lack of energy on Earth, and the creation in leaves is by no means restricted to their shape. Leaf tissues are highly sensitive to light, which causes them to always turn in the direction of the light. The way that plant leaves always face the direction from which solar rays reach them can easily be observed in potted plants. Leaves are plants' nuclear energy production facilities and are factories that produce nutrients, and are also laboratories in which crucial reactions take place. When we examine the structure of leaves, we can see just how important these laboratories are. The greater the surface area of the leaf, the greater its ability to work. For example, plants with broad leaves tend to grow in dense tropical rainforests. There are very important reasons for this. It is difficult for sunlight to reach everywhere in equal quantities in tropical rainforests made up of densely packed trees. This makes a greater leaf surface area essential in order to trap that light. In these areas where sunlight penetrates the area very little, it is vitally important for leaf surfaces to be very large if plants are to produce nutrients. By way of this feature, tropical plants obtain sunlight from various angles in such a way as to make the greatest use of it. In contrast, plants in dry, harsh environments have small leaves. That is because under such climatic conditions, the main disadvantage facing plants is water loss. And as leaf surface area increases, so does evaporation and thus water loss. For that reason, the light-trapping leaf surface has been created in such a way as to enable the plant to conserve water. Leaf restriction reaches a peak in desert environments. Cacti, for example, have thorns instead of leaves. In these plants, photosynthesis is carried out in the fleshy body. The trunk is also where water is stored. However, this by itself is not enough to control water loss. No matter how small a plant's leaves may be, water will still continue to be lost through its pores. A mechanism to balance evaporation is therefore essential. Plants possess a means of regulating excess evaporation, which they do by means of controlling the aperture of their pores, expanding or contracting this. Trapping the light necessary for photosynthesis is not the only function performed by leaves. The way that they also trap carbon dioxide in the air and transmit this to where photosynthesis is made is equally important.